In the time it takes to score a goal, you can also lose control. Don't speed, drive smart. Michael Stewart, what's happening?
Alright, Si?
How are you, mate? Alright?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good. I need to say it's an absolute stupendous vehicle.
Thanks very much.
What is it we're driving?
It's a Panamera,
Wow.
a Porsche Panamera.
Don't get much change back off of 50 G's for this young man. We're just going to sit here for a bit.
Good.
Talk about your time at Hibs, but before I need to put my cards on the table. I was a bit nervous doing this.
How?
Guys I usually interview are thick as shit. I was a bit worried that you're going to have me looking like Gaz and Deeks by the end of this. Going to show you how good my vocabulary is.
Right.
Great to see the gentrification of Leith in recent times, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly been gentrified, this stadium, that's for sure.
A lot changed since
But
you
we're
were
not
here.
in Leith though.
Have I known that?
No, technically this isn't Leith.
So where is this?
This is outside of Leith.
Right, okay.
Uh-huh.
So what's changed for when you were here?
Just the far side, the
new stand.
new stand over there. Everything else is pretty much exactly as it was when I was here.
You remember driving up here to sign for Hibs?
Not really, but I can remember when I first went to speak. It was Tony Mowbray was the manager,
Right.
and I remember going to meet him at Mark Venus's house at the Wester Coats, just next to the old Donaldson Deaf School. Went to meet them for the first time, and I was not sure. I was apprehensive.
Why not?
Just because I'd been on loan at Hearts. I was a Hearts fan. All my family were Hearts supporters. So inevitably, you're a little bit like, I don't know about it. But then I thought, you know what? I want to just go and enjoy playing football, because up until that point, it had just been like crap. It'd been, losing the love for the game.
Even that young stage, you were losing love for the game, were you?
Aye,
Right?
because the football that was being played or that I was getting involved in was just it was murder.
And what was that down to managers?
Aye, pretty much. And the fact that obviously going from like United and then dropping down, it was just getting to the stage where I wanted to come back to Edinburgh, which I did with Hearts. I didn't want to leave Edinburgh, but I wanted to enjoy playing football again. And Tony Mowbray had been in the job for a year at Hibs, and they played great football.
Yeah.
Just entertaining. So I thought, you know what? Why don't I just go and speak to them?
I think Mowbray kind of changed the style up in Scotland, do you agree?
Well, he certainly did it. I think Hibs have had a reputation historically as a team that wanted to play football. So it was a good fit, even though I don't think anybody really knew or what to expect with Mogga. But he certainly moved on, Hibs as a club at that stage dramatically. And he obviously was fortunate that he had a group of youngsters that were coming through at that time. But you need to have that mix between the youngsters, the experience, but also a manager that knows how to get the best out of them.
What about Vino? Vino's having him selling it. He is having him selling it. He's not assistant at Celtic.
Oh, was it? Oh, of course, yeah. Not for me, not for me.
Lovely left foot though.
Yeah. Tell you, he should have still been playing for England.
Tremendous. By the way, I noticed, booster seat, is that for Johnny Sunderland?
Yeah, well, I don't know if Johnny Sunderland would be big enough for that one.
You said obviously you were at Hearts before.
Yeah.
Was it a frosty reception for the fans here?
I can't. No, do you know what? I don't know whether it's just me being oblivious to things or a bit of revisionism, looking back and thinking everything was all right. I don't. Nah, not that I can remember. To be perfectly honest, nah.
What about for your own pals?
There was a wee bit, obviously, for your mates. It's like just a bit of banter, but after a while, it was like you just what it's like. The classic thing is you can't react.
Yeah.
As soon as you react, boys are on you. So as soon as your mates are giving you a bit, you've just got to take it.
You played centre mid with Scott Brown. Did you think back then that he'd gone and have the career that he did? Full of energy,
well, do you know what? I mean, it's difficult to know, what sort of career folk are going to have. Looking at him, you're thinking to yourself, he's capable. There's no doubt, because he was pure energy. He just had a will to win, and he had a healthy disregard for reputations as well. So he was never going to be, in awe of folk that he was playing against.
Were you similar to that?
No, do you know what? No, I probably wasn't. I probably wasn't, or maybe I was when I was younger. But then, I'd imagine. I mean, I don't know what your character's like, but in terms of, you were at a big club as a kid, and then once you leave there. psychologically it's a tough one.
Yeah.
So I think that probably altered it a little bit for me, and that was why I came home. I just wanted to get a split away from football, so that I had a life away from football, which in the grand scheme of things was the best thing I've ever done, but for my football it was the worst thing I could have ever done. So probably when I was younger I was like that, but not when I came back up the road.
Why do you think you never... Cause everyone I speak to that played, you said you were a good player, right? Good player. So why do you think you never played at the top, very top, for a longer time?
I mean, look, there's a a multitude of reasons. Time at United, probably just the timing. A couple of years younger, opportunities there. Difficult to break into a team that's the best midfield in the world. When I signed my first team contract at United, it was the gaffer was, I don't know if you remember, he was going to retire.
Yeah.
Early on. And that was him basically always building 3-4 years in advance. So myself, John O'Shea, Luke Chadwick, Wes Brown, we all signed like 4-year contracts. So that was him obviously putting the foundations in place for the next phase. But the problem was that the year that he was going to retire, he signed Juan Sebastian Veron. So it was almost like he's Robin van Persie back then.
Yeah.
And it just meant that I was going to be limited. I remember the start of that season, sitting on the bench, the Champions League qualifier against the Hungarian team Zalaegerszeg, and Scholes is on the bench. I'm thinking to myself,
Not even warming up, is it?
I'm thinking like this is going to be tough. And I'd made my debut in that before, and once you've made your debut, you've got to keep progressing. When you hit a bit of a lull or a bit of a plateau, it's difficult to get it going again.
Especially at a club like that. 4-year deal, so it paid for this, didn't it? Right, I need to ask you as well, obviously, as I said, clever guy. I like listening. I actually do, I'm not bullshitting you, I genuinely do like listening to you, because I think, how's he so clever, man, and played football? But how does a conversation go between Michael Stewart, Derek Reardon and Gary O'Connor? Come on. Did you struggle?
Do you know, I like to try and think I'm a bit of a chameleon. I can, flip between different groups. And they're not, the fact is, when you're talking about football, these guys are clever. Yeah. They know football.
Oh, definitely.
Aye. So, I'm not going to sit down and talk to them about economics and anything like that. So know your audience. So they're two good people, fundamentally, and you're in a football environment. So you get on absolutely fine with them.
Was it a good laugh back then with all the young boys in the team together?
I mean, there's no doubt that it was an enjoyable team to be involved in, not just in terms of on the park because there were good players, but off it as well because there was a lot of good characters in that changing room.
Would you be one for nights out?
Aye, but not like not mental.
Okay,
I mean, I lived in the city centre in Edinburgh for like 15 years. And I was out. I mean, that was one of the things that I enjoyed being back home, was just be like socialising, but not like going mental and getting bevied all the time.
You ever get in a fight with Deeks now?
No. Nah, I don't think Deeks ever got in fights. It was always cousins.
And then he'd just get leathered, didn't it? All the young boys used to stay in the flats over there, didn't they?
There was loads of them,
Fletch and Junkie and that used to stay there, didn't they?
Aye.
Brilliant. That modern team, what a team. O'Connor, Reardon, yourself, Brown, Thompson, Whittaker, Fletcher, Sproul. If you had to pick one...
And I mean, by the way, I'm not being funny, you could keep going on with that team because there was like Gaz Caldwell, David Murphy, the left back.
Good player. Boozlin.
Boozy, Stephen Glass, Dean Shields, Chris Killen.
Chris Killen's off his nut as well. He was
at absolute nutter.
Any stories of Kiffer now?
Oh, no, there's none. Well, I mean, like, there's none you can repeat on camera.
He used to do a wee bee on the bar all the time, and
he was a lunatic.
He
was an absolute lunatic. And when we played together, found out that when he was at Man City.
Oh, was he right?
I was at Man City, and we completely unbeknown to the two of us, had apartments that were like a stone's throw from each other at Salford Quays in Manchester.
Oh, really? Right. Something that Gaz said when we interviewed him was if that team had stayed together for another couple of years, they would have won the league.
Well,
I
don't know if they would have won the league, but they certainly would have been up there challenging, that's for sure. I don't think there's any doubt about that, because not only is that team sticking together and making, and progressing and becoming better for for Hibs, it also means that they're no strengthening the other teams that they all went to, So, I mean, look, you can never say definitively, but I would think if that team had stayed together for another couple of years with the same manager, then there's a chance that they would have been challenging now.
Next question, that's what we're leading on to. Change of manager. John Collins comes in. First question, how impressive is his six-pack?
Oh, it's impressive. There's no doubt about it.
How many times did you see it daily?
Well, he had an Under Armour top on that he used to walk about in, so you could see it through that like continually.
And would he pull players up for not having that?
I mean, well, when he first came in, you've heard the story. I mean,
Yeah,
look, when he first came in, it was a bit embarrassing. You know, there was a team meeting in the changing room, and it was, this is what I'm going to get you, so this is what you're going to get, and then taking you through to his manager's office.
Sorry, I thought you were going to say bedroom.
Taking you through to his manager's office and getting doing like, you know, weighing you and doing like the body fats and stuff like that. And he's coming over and like going, "Get you one of them. That's what we're going to get you." You know, just a bit like.
Get the boys out and play.
And then boys are coming back through the changing room like, "You're never going to fucking believe what's going on through there."
What about on the training pitch? Was he better?
Pish.
Was he?
Aye. See, this is the thing. You know, there's this myth that had sort of developed that the boys were like spitting the dummy out because it was like hard and it was like European style training and all that. It was pish.
Yeah.
It was slow. The tempo was crap. It was, you know, it was like you do like shooting drills that were like the full length of the park. You know, pass, have a shot, and you're like, what is this?
In a game,
What is this? You know, so it was the training
right.
that the boys were like. It wasn't the intensity, or it was because it wasn't intense.
Right.
And the training was just like you weren't learning anything, you know. And this is a guy who, you know, when he walks into the changing room, instantly commanded respect because of what he'd done as a player. And when he talks about the game, or when I used to see him on the telly and talking about the game, it seemed like he has good ideas, but his interpersonal skills and being able to relate it and talk to folk, that was just.
So see, even as a young guy, would you be the one that would have to say something?
Do you know, like, so looking back in hindsight, I can understand that managers like viewed me as being difficult, but what I was doing was trying to, you know, be constructive. And weak characters find it difficult to be able to like handle folk that have got an opinion. I recognise that, but the best managers that I worked with were the ones that were open. It was an open forum. What's the thoughts? What we're talking about? You know, how can we make it better? And then you feel as an individual like, you know, you're being listened to. They're never always going to agree with you. You don't expect them always to agree with you. But the folk that want to suppress, you know, players and like shut up, didn't talk, you know, that all you're creating there is like a pressure cooker that's going to explode at some point.
So would Collins not take the players' ideas on board?
No, absolutely
no chance.
Well, I mean, look, I'll give you an example. So before the cup final, went away to Marbella, and at this point it was bubbling under the surface. Boys weren't happy, and went away to Marbella, and it was like all these sort of like rules in place. You can't do this, can't do that. Be in your room at this time. Do this, do that, and it was just like that. Boys are like,
it's a youth team,
and I'm not being funny. Like as I said to you before, you know, especially when I was playing, I barely drank. I wasn't a big drinker at all, and like the boys, the first night we got there, they were like, "Oh right, well we'll go down to the harbour." So everyone was like, "We'll go down now." And the fact that we're down there, and the fact that it was like, "Dinny this, dinny that," it was almost, I almost stood there thinking to myself, I want a pint. But I mean, all the rest of the boys are like battering at the pints, you know. And I was like, I can't mind whether I did or I didn't. I probably didn't. And then it was like back to the hotel. And the next day, like something happened. I can't remember what it was. But anyway, there was like a crisis meeting. I think we were training, and there was like clearly it was bubbling under the surface. So Collins calls a crisis meeting after a day and a half in Marbella, right? So the boys are
they've ran out of beer, is that the crisis?
The boys are lined up, and he's talking about like, "I've done this for years, I've got used to Marbella, the chairman's like, I'm getting this for you, I'm doing this." It was all about like what he's, and Wee-Sprill pipes up and goes like that. He says, "You know what?" He says, "I used to be a fucking welder." He says, "I'd rather be fucking welding than fucking standing here right now." And it was like that. What? And then he got up, stormed. I tried to say to him. I said to him, I says, "Look, try to be constructive." I said, "Issue is right. You've put all these restrictions on boys, right? Saying we can't do this, can't do that." I said, human nature is, when you tell somebody they can't do something, they want to do it.
Yeah.
I said, you've got to give us a bit of rope.
Just treat us like adults.
If we hang ourselves, then you can come down at us and go like, that's how. Or I said, but you can't like stop us doing everything. Just like give us a bit of trust. And he was like, fucking nonsense, and then he stormed off. And then
to do some sit-ups.
Tommy Craig standing at the top, and he was like, any more chat? And Bruni was like that. He says, well, what do you mean any more chat? He says, he's fucking upsticked and fucked off. He says, he won't even listen. You know, he's asking us what the problem is. He says, and he's just fucked off. So he wasn't even wanting to listen.
How good was Bruni's interview after that game?
Oh, aye.
Who put him up for that, man?
God knows.
So was there a revolt? Was it Rod Petry's house?
It was meant to be here.
Right.
And we were on the town. So it was mine. It was only 2 players that weren't there. And
do you want to name them though?
No, I'm not going to name them. No, there was only 2 players that weren't there, and it was meant to be here. Rod had said, "Aye, doors always open." So we said, "Right, we'll go meet you." So we're up the town in a restaurant, all having a meal, and then coming here. So then a few of the boys are getting phone calls for the press, going like, "Are you meeting Rod Petry at Easter Road tonight?" And the boys are like, nah. So anyway, then Rod phoned Bruni and was like, "You can't come here, there's press outside." So it was like, oh, fucking hell. So Bruni was like, right, I'll speak to the boys, what we're going to do. So then we all had a bit of chat and was like, what are we going to do? And then Rod phoned back and went, you can come to my house. So his house is down in East Lothian. So there's a convoy of about 5 cars heading down the bypass to go to Rod's house to speak to him about what was going on.
How's his gaff? Nice.
That was nice. Backs onto the golf course, lovely.
Oh,
lovely.
Did that lead to your exit at Hibs? Because you kind of got the blame, did you?
100%. I got the blame. Yeah.
From who, Collins?
Because it was an easy target. Shift the blame onto me. He thought, a quick backstory. He came to me before the January transfer window and was like, look, I want to build a team around you. I can get you back into the Scotland squad. Blah 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 blah. And I was like, look, I says, I'm enjoying my time here, and up until that point I was getting on fine with him. Maybe he's been in the job a couple of months. I says, I'm no desperate looking to leave Edinburgh. I'm settled, but I says I want to just see what else is available before I commit. And he went, right, okay, understand. He said, but you need to understand, I want to build a team around you and I need to know what your plans are. And I says, I totally appreciate that. My problem is, I'm too honest. Folk actually think I'm working an angle. And I said, what I'll do with you is, if I speak to anybody, I'll just keep you up to the speed and let you know what's going on. And I think that he thought that I'd already signed somewhere. Right. And then from that moment on, he basically just ostracised me, pushed me out a wee bit. Just his skills, as I told you before, weren't great, and he just started being a total prick.
What was it? Just training with the reserves, no speaking to you?
Well, basically after the cup final, so it'd been lingering about, and then obviously it all exploded with the whatchamacallit, the meeting down at Rod's house. Mm-hmm. Then it was the cup final, which I never played in, so I was the one that basically got and then everybody knows there's been a revolt. I'm not playing, so the folk are putting two together and coming up with 44. Yeah. And then
that was Gaz O'Connor doing the same thing.
And so it's and then the rumour mill starts and everything like that. So then he was basically came in. He handed me a letter saying you're go away, free to leave type thing. Right. And I was like, I says, all right, great. I says, I think I'm just going to walk out the door I says, and everybody thinks that I was the problem.
Are you going to get a club after that?
I'm just going to leave. So anyway, I phoned Roy Keane at the time. Roy just
did you?
Because I was I can't, I needed some help.
Yeah.
And Roy was just taken over at Sunderland, and Roy was like, look, he says, don't fucking worry about it. And I was going, right, well, that's very fucking easy for you to be saying, don't worry about it. He says, but I'm getting pilloried here, and I'm getting sort of pointed the finger at as if it's me that's the ringleader or not. He says, look, he says, you can look yourself in the mirror, you know you're doing things the right way. He says, these all fucking just Scarper.
Play it.
He says, can you look yourself in the mirror and know you're fucking doing the right thing for the right reasons? I was like, aye. He says, well, you're fine then. And I was going, aye, but Roy, what the fuck am I going to do? Where am I going to go? And he was like, well, you could be coming here. You might come down here or whatever. And it just so happened, Hibs like reserves, with Mark Proctor, who I was talking about,
Proctor,
that guy Proc, went down to Sunderland and played like a bounce game. And you know yourself when you've done well.
Yeah.
So I'd done well and Roy was there chatting away. So then Roy was like, look, come down for a couple of weeks and train. They'd just been promoted to the top flight though, so I was thinking like... Anyway, went down, training was fine, and then played a bounce game in training, and I was murder. You know yourself when you're murder. And
that's me every week, mate, don't worry about it.
and Roy just basically said like, look, you know, can he do it? And I was like, fine, totally, you know, it wasn't a problem. So that was my time done.
See, like, you've played for Man United, Hibs. How worried are you when you hear that somebody doesn't want you? You've been released from one club, somebody else doesn't want you. Do you begin to worry?
But probably more from the fact that because like I was in the situation where I didn't want to leave, you know, Edinburgh.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're obviously like, when I came back up the road for Man United, it was all for just reasons away from football. It wasn't really anything to do with football. I just wanted to come home, and I wasn't ready to leave at that point. So you're limiting your opportunity. You're limiting your, you know, options.
Chances. Yeah.
And then, you know, when up the road, there's only like, you know, with the greatest respect, it wasn't like I was going to be like happy to go and play at like every club. So it was a small window of.
Was there never a thought of just sticking it out and seeing if Collins went before you?
Because I was already at that stage where I wasn't sure as if I was going to be staying anyway. You know, I was looking elsewhere. I'd spoken to Stoke when this was all going on, like in the January window. I'd spoken to Stoke, so I knew there was going to be like options. John Park had just gone to Celtic, and he'd said, because big Chris Killen had gone to Celtic as well in that summer, and Big John had said, no, not Big John, John's not a big guy. John Park said, look, there could be a chance here as well, but they need to move on. I think it was Gravison, and who was the other boy? Was he Russian or?
Oh, Yarasek.
Yeah. He was like, they need to move a lot of boys on, and he said there might be a chance here. And before anything came of that, Hearts had come back and says like, do you want to come to Hearts? And I was like, I felt then like, you know what, it's concrete offer. I'm not moving then, and I felt like I had unfinished business.
Point to prove. Just on the driving, so many promising young lads at Hibs at that time, world at their feet. How important was it that his responsibility when it came to driving and stuff like that? Because it's easy for young guys to get carried away with fast cars.
Do you know, massively important. And I remember, because at that time, you know, Hibs obviously didn't have a training ground, so it was at the stadium and then you're driving to training. And there was a young lad, wee Jay Shields.
He was a screwball, Jay Shields.
Remember wee Jay Shields?
Hard as nails.
Aye. Wee Jay wrapped his car round like a lamppost or something on the way back for training one day. And I think, you know, when things like that happen quite, you know, at close quarters, it sort of gives everybody a wee sort of joke as to be like, you need to just take a wee sort of think to yourself.
The lamppost would have came off worse if it hit Jay's head some size, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was there a dream car you had as a kid that you always wanted?
Not really.
It's better than this, doesn't it?
Not really. I'm not a big car enthusiast.
What about Man United? Do you have a first car?
I had a Peugeot 306. It was my first ever car.
Was that a banger?
It was my mate, this old man who ran, like he had a load of car garages up here, passed my test, went down and picked it up just at Sight Hill in Edinburgh. And then I remember driving along like a sort of dual carriageway, the Gyle. I remember sort of like, you know, checking all your mirrors and all like that, pulled into the outside lane and almost crashed into the first car that was taken over. Did you ever see, obviously I've heard stories about Ferguson when boys get new cars and tells them to take it back. You ever seen it? Not so much cars and stuff like that, but just, you know, the gaffer was...
Did he know everything?
Oh, he knew everything, absolutely. He knew everything and made sure that, you know, boys were keeping their feet firmly on the ground. Like, remember when Wes Brown had signed with an agent, and he called all of us. So Wes was the year above me, but he was like my second year.
Right.
So he called all the boys into his office, and he's got Wes standing at the top of the room behind his. There's a bit of culture for you there. After seat.
Didn't get that in Glasgow, mate.
There's the Palace.
Tremendous.
Holyrood.
The Shin.
And there's the Parliament.
Is that Craig Levine's house?
I think so, aye. Aye.
There's a parliament there.
Yeah.
That's where you should be by you.
Well, there's a flag there at the end that's coming down, but the other one should be coming down soon, hopefully.
Oh, you're big for the old independence, aren't you?
Yep.
Right, back on to Fergie, right, I love this.
And Wes was at the end of the room behind his desk, and the gaffer had like a cricket bat in his hand, and he was like, "This fucking prick's just signed with a fucking agent." And he was like, "I'm going to have to fucking sort it out." He says, "If any of you pricks fucking think you're going to be signing with an agent, you'll be getting fucking skilled with this or not."
How was Wes Brown's face?
He was just like that. Wes was just standing like,
Oh, tremendous, man. Would he, with you being Scottish, would he take a wee bit more an interest in you?
He took an interest in all the young lads, to be perfectly honest, but I think looking back on it, there was an element of like, yeah, young Scottish boys are down the road. He would look out. He would look out for you, definitely. I mean, the first time I ever went down to Manchester, I was like 12-year-old. So went down, and it was like boys for all over Scotland, England, Ireland, Wales, some for the continent as well. And you're playing amongst your peers.
Yeah.
And I remember playing the game and looking across and seeing the gaffer standing at the side of the park watching us 12-year-olds playing. And you're like, Jesus sakes. And he was standing talking to my scout, a boy called Andy Perry. And after the game, coming over, "How are you, Michael? You alright? Enjoying your time down here?" And you're just like, brilliant, great, brilliant. And then from that moment on, he would always just ask you about your family, your mum and dad. You had a big brother. And always asking you about and remember their names all the time.
Do you think that's why he was so successful? They be things.
Totally, because that's it's those it's man management.
Yeah,
it's people skills.
Yeah.
It's people skills.
That's why people want to play for you, isn't it?
Aye, of course it is. Yeah. So then, when he batters you, you're no spitting the dummy. You're like, "Mate, I'll fucking show you." Because you want to get their. You feel like you've let them down almost.
You want them to love you again. Definitely. But you were Rangers before you went down to Man United.
So obviously when I went down to Man United when I was 12, I was still here. So it was school holidays. I'd go down south. When I was still up here, I ended up the last sort of 2 or 3 years of when I was still at school here. I was at Rangers, and it got to the stage where if I was staying in Scotland, I would have signed for Rangers, and if I was going down south, I was going to go to United. Probably about 18 months out from leaving school, in my mind I'd probably settled on, look, I'm going to go to United.
Why? Because of Ferguson?
Just a multitude of reasons. It was like, best club in the world.
Yeah.
Give youth a chance. Because at that point, Rangers were flooded with boys that they would just bring in. They never really gave young boys a chance. And at United, it was like, it was the best. It was the best coaches. You know.
Former teammates of yours have already told us how vocal and passionate you could be in training, especially. Even as a young boy training with the superstars, were you still the same, or were you a bit more quiet?
I was probably more vocal and frustration with myself, rather than having a go at the first team boys. But right up until that level, I would. Anybody that was playing with, but it wasn't like having a go at boys. I'd be having a go as much of myself. Yeah. Frustration if not doing the right things or whatever. And
where did you get that from? Is your mum and dad like that?
My mum, to a small extent, but no, really. It's just wanting to, I was just going to say perfectionist. Just wanting to do things the right way.
Yeah.
Aye.
Do you think that kind of killed you?
Yeah, definitely. I think that. I mean, look, it's that there's a thing called psychological momentum, right? When a youngster makes into when they step up levels, that first stage is so crucial for you to believe that I can do this.
Yeah.
So if you step up, from youth to reserves to first team, and that initial transition period is quite smooth. That's so important.
And it's that stage where you for the rest.
Yeah, because you get to that next level and you're like, well, I can do this. This is normal. My problem was, as I said to you before, I made that step and I was in with the first team, but that period was too long. I I wasn't playing enough to then feel like I'm comfortable. This is fine.
Yeah.
So then you start to have little bits of, doubt, and that's the first time that had ever happened for me.
Because I always thought maybe Training McKean or something like that rubbed off on you, and that's why you had that same sort of mentality.
No, I mean that. Of course that did.
Yeah.
Aye, definitely, because they're the folk you're looking up to. They're the folk that like you're working with, and that's the and they're the best. So you want to replicate, and yeah, similar sort of character as well. But Roy had like carte blanche to do whatever he wanted.
Did he?
Aye, but it was like everything he done was to win. You know.
So Alex Ferguson let him do that because he knows it was good examples that he's setting.
Aye.
Yeah. Was he kind of like your idol at United?
Aye. I mean, and I got on very well with Roy as well. So, like, he would talk to you. He would, sat pretty close to him in the changing room as well. And he's a properly like switched on guy. So you would be able to talk to him about, other things, things away from football, and then talking about football and obviously playing the same position, all those types of things.
What's the worst you've seen him lose it?
Loads, like absolutely loads. I'm trying to think.
Would it be anyone that would get it?
Aye, anybody. Aye, totally. And when he signed for Celtic, he stayed through in Edinburgh, and he was at the hotel just round the back from where I stayed in the city centre. So I used to go round and have like a coffee with him. And he said at that point, that was him away from his family. He was like, I recognise now that I was probably a bit too hard on some boys. Like when Veron and that had signed, he says he used to just absolutely batter him. Like, he didn't fucking want to be here, fuck off. And those sorts of things. And it was like, away from your family, the other side of the world
and
type stuff.
Seen it on
and
the
he's
other
like,
side, yeah.
Maybe it was just a wee bit too hard on them.
Oh, so he has got a soft side as well.
And he's not stupid, but like at the same time, that's a small moment.
Yeah.
He'd still caveat that with, at least you could still have a smile on your face or something.
Because I was a young boy at Celtic when he came, and see when he gave you that death stare, man. Oh my, your balls jumped into your stomach, didn't it?
Oh,
Did you get it from him?
Oh, everybody got it. Like, say, you could be sitting in the changing room, right, going out to training, like chatting to him, having a laugh and a joke, right? 5 minutes later, you could be out doing boxes, and he'd smash a ball at you, right? And if you didn't, instantly, deal with it, fucking wake up, fuck's sake, how the fuck, if you can't handle that, how the fuck are you going to handle playing in front of 67,000? Fuck's sake, get a fucking, and you'd be like that.
That's tough as a young boy, eh?
But do you know what? You had to deal with it, and he was right. If you can't handle that at training, then, 70,000 folk at Old Trafford, if you didn't deal with a pass,
could there be this side? Could there be the side to that he would pull you and give you advice as well?
Absolutely, as I was saying to you before. Like, out of that sort of moment of sort of heat, you'd be sitting in the changing room, and he would of course he would talk to you. He'd explain stuff.
What about Bex? How cool was he? Was he brilliant at her?
Aye. I mean, yeah. But the thing is, that whole team, all great guys. That was why they were the best. That's why they were the best, because they had humility about them, never got above their station, and they worked their absolute backside off. So they were all brilliant. And the thing is, I remember making my debut in the league against Middlesbrough away, and the gaffer had contact. Well, actually, it wasn't the gaffer. No, I think it was the gaffer or Dennis Law's daughter, who was the media girl, had phoned my folks to say, look, Michael's starting. So they'd come down to the riverside to watch the game, and they were sat next to Bex's mum and dad. So even his mum and dad, they're talking to my mum and dad about I remember when David made his debut, blah blah blah. And then out in the changing room, you're obviously you're a wee bit nervous. Yeah. But Bex is there and he's like, look, just keep doing what you've done. He says, this is why you're here. You're here because of the player you are. Then he's trying to do anything different. Just play your normal game. It's all wee bits like that. And then walking out to for the start of the game, and Paul Ince was the captain of Middlesbrough at the time, and Butty and Paul Ince were quite tight. And Butty, he goes to me, he says, right, Michael, he says, he's going to try and fucking bully you. He says, first chance you get, fucking smash him. So I remember it was he was running down the park, and I remember sliding in and taking Paul Ince out, and Butty just came over and went, fucking brilliant.
Amazing.
So these boys have all been through the exact same thing.
They wee nuggets of advice are brilliant, isn't they?
Aye.
Just go and smash them and get yourself
Aye.
in the game.
Yeah. So
Tremendous.
that's what made United special as well, because you had guys that had been through the exact same thing that you'd been through, and they wanted to fucking help you. You know,
My favourite player of all time is Scholes.
he's an absolute different class.
Well, how is he so good? Good Scholes. Like, I know his passing's brilliant, but like,
His technique, his vision,
Couldn't he
his
run on
game,
that, couldn't
his
he?
game understanding. I wouldn't say that he couldn't run, but it wasn't like he was
didn't
an
anything.
athlete.
Yeah.
He was up last month. I saw him and Fletch were up.
The SFA thing, I seen
and
that.
Bruni
Yeah.
was, so I was doing what you were doing. I was speaking to them, and we were just chatting about football, and Scholesy was just different class. I mean, never, you know, he's the one guy that. Well, it was funny because this sort of sums it up. Fletch had lost his phone, or thought he'd lost his phone, and it was like, fuck's sake, Scholesy, you got my fucking phone. He didn't actually have his phone, but he's one of those wee guys that was constantly like doing stuff, but he would never be the one that you would instantly think. You'd be like looking around the street and go like, have you done it? You done it? Yeah. And then it would be like Scholesy sitting there going,
Laughing. Brilliant. Eh?
but the reason, he's just football brain.
Clever,
When Ruud van Nistelrooy signed for United, when Ruud signed, I always remember Ruud saying, everybody on the continent, the one they want to know about is Scholesy. So the regard that he was held, the high regard he was held with, like the European boys, was like he was the best.
Best, yeah.
Aye, because he was such a technical player.
I sound like a wee guy here just asking all these questions. I'm sorry, but these aren't even on the sheet. But like, see, who did you kind of model yourself on more? Was it Keane or Scholes? Did you try and be like one of them, or was it?
Nah, not really. It was just a bit of everything. You know, you had to be your own sort of player. So a bit of everything. You know, again, I was talking to Scholesy and Fletch about this like last month. The game's changed so much, and we were talking about this like, and they spoke about it in the seminar as well. But we were talking about this, saying that like at United at that time, when you were a midfielder, you did everything. You defended, you attacked, you played, you smashed folk. You know, you had to do everything. The game's changed now. You've got like, you know, defensive midfielders. You've got number 8s. You've got number 10s. You've got all
Does that
this.
frustrate you?
Well, it probably to begin with, when defensive midfielders became like a thing, and you're thinking to yourself like, I've got the fucking easiest job in the world. But the game's evolved so much now that, you know, the defensive midfielder has to do so much more. So the game's changed.
It's a lot more tactical now in the game. See, when you were, as you say, you were maybe struggling towards the end of your career, were you a wee bit worried about what you were going to do next?
Not at the, you know, the end of my career was a bit, it was weird. There was loads of like, you know, sort of reasons why I ended up doing what I did in regards to just like stopping. But once you stopped, it's the same for any player, and that's why, you know, mental health is such a big thing about folk stopping and they don't know anything else. And that's one of the big reasons I keep going back to it. It was why I was in Edinburgh, because I had a life away from football. So the only thing I was sure of when I was going to stop was that I wanted to be in Edinburgh. That was it. And I made that decision. I was like, right, I want to be in Edinburgh. That was the only thing I knew about, that I was certain of, but I didn't want to play football here anymore. So I was just like, right, stop.
I'll do something else.
I'm just like, stop. That was it.
Right, we'll come to the end in a bit, but just back on Fergie and
Bex.
Was there always tension between them?
Nah, not at all. No, and like, I suppose towards the end you could sense that, you know, something was brewing, and there was obviously the incident where just before the Leeds United game, where I think,
You got a haircut? You got a haircut or
Nah,
something?
it was Victoria had been at a fashion shoot or something.
Brilliant, innit?
And then she was ill or something. He was having to look after the kids, and he couldn't make it into training one day, and then he basically like binned them for the Leeds United game. And obviously Leeds United was a massive game, huge game.
That was when they had like Kuhl and Bowyer and that, wasn't it? They were Champions League team,
Robbie Keane, Viduka, I think Rio joined United at that point, but they were a Champions League mob, and he dropped them. So I mean, it was bubbling under the surface for a while, but you know, as a youngster as well, like, you know, you're not in the inner sanctum of like seeing what's going on in, you know, private meetings and stuff like that. But I think it was.
Was Bex always different for everyone else? Calling him Bex, like, I know.
to a certain extent, but then he was the same as everyone else as well. You know, which is a bit of a contradiction in terms.
No, but like, he was grounded, but also he was a bit more.
Aye, yeah, he was, but he was still one of the lads.
Yeah.
Aye.
Everyone can't be the same to ain't.
No, exactly. Aye. So you know, he was.
Would he practice as much as Scholes?
All of them, everybody. Aye, totally. Yeah.
So he never took his foot off the gas. Football-wise,
no, not at all. Hence why he played till the age that he played.
Yeah.
And he was, you look at the nick he's in. Look at the nick he's still in. You know, that's because he just like grafted.
Yeah.
Because he loved football so much.
He is gorgeous, isn't he? Ever see the hairdryer in full flow?
Oh, aye. A number of occasions. I remember I was playing a under-21 game, Scotland under-21 game, so I was back up the road. I think it was Northern Ireland. I've told the story a few times. I think it was Northern Ireland at St Mirren. And we were 1-1 or something late on and we were battered down, like just frustrated. Anyway, I slid and won the ball. The ref's given like a free kick and I was raging. And I picked the ball up and I went to like slam it into the ground. And as I went to throw it, it was wet and it sort of came flying out my hand. So I went to throw it in the ground and it came flying out my hand and hit the ref.
Oh no.
So the ref's like sent me off and I was like, oh fuck. So anyway, I thought, right, I'll sent off, I'll just deal with it. So drive back down the road. That training the next day. Getting changed, going upstairs to go to breakfast, and the gaffer's like, you in my fucking office now. And I was like, oh shit. So he's like, he called me through and he was like, you think I wouldn't fucking know? You think I'm fucking stupid? And I was like, what? He went, if you ever fucking do something like that again, he says, I didn't care whether you're up the road or fucking playing for United, because you're always representing this club. If you ever do something like that again, you will be out that fucking door quicker than your arse can fucking touch it. And I was like, all right, aye. He says, I didn't care how fucking well you're respected or how fucking far we think you're going. That's you. You're fucking done.
Wow. See, when you'd been sent off, were you expecting that from him?
To a certain extent.
Like, was there times where you would do something bad and he wouldn't have shot at you?
Aye, there was
did he pick and choose his times?
Or not so much bad, or there's things that he would maybe do that you're thinking like, oh, fuck, he's going to nail me, but nah, he wouldn't. And then there's other game at Burnley. I remember getting taken off at like half time and he fucking nailed me. And then the next morning he came in and he was like, look, he says, that was too much. He says, I've watched it again, that wasn't fair, you know. So he was, that's why he was the best, because he knew when you needed, like, you know, a sort of arm around the shoulder, and he knew when to, like, you know, give you a fucking absolute like doing.
How was he when you left?
Well, then there's the other thing. So no sentimentality when it comes to that, and that's, you know, you look across the board at the boys that have left that club, like the top players, it's fucking decapitation. Ruthless. You are gone, and that was the same for me. So obviously I still had a few years on my contract. I was I'd been training with Rangers. I'd come back up road, I'd agreed a deal to sign there when Big McLeish, and I had to agree compensation at United, and he basically was trying to offer me like a tenth of the contract to go, and I was like, I can't leave. I says, that's like money that could, like, you know, look after me for the rest of it. I was like, I can't just, like, and he was just like, fucking hell, I never thought I'd see the day where fucking money is like dictating what you're doing, because he knew that it would cut you deep, you know, because it would, like, that's what I was about. So he knew what buttons to press, and at the end of it, I was going to.
You took it?
No, I was going to.
Right.
But then the whole Rangers thing like fell through, and that's when I went on loan to United, to Hearts, and I took a 40% wage cut just to go to Hearts, because I just wanted to come home.
He's not daft, is he?
No.
Oh, scary stuff, man. Well, it's hard to say no to a guy like that, though, isn't it?
Aye.
But he knows that, doesn't he?
Of course he does. Of course he does.
Punditry, current job. When, as you said, you were coming to the end, you kind of knew it was coming to an end. When did you think I'd be good as a pundit? Pundits weren't really a big thing when you first started in Scotland, was it?
No.
Who would it have been back then before you started?
I've no idea.
Exactly, I couldn't even tell you.
I've no idea, because I didn't really pay a great deal of attention. Do you know, I never thought
Somebody approach you?
I never, like, anything I've done has not really been by design.
Right. So
It's
you're
just-
not a planner now?
To a certain extent, but not like, oh, I'm going to have that, I'm going to do this, nah, not really. It's just, for me, it's a bit more about, like, gut instinct, or doing something I want to do,
Yeah. So why
And-
did you want to do that?
Well, when I stopped, it's like you've got to do something, otherwise your brain just vegetates, And the typical route, you go and do coaching badges and stuff like that. But the thing is, you do coaching badges. It's like, all right, there's like a couple of weeks. What are you doing for the rest of the time? And also, you do coaching badges, and then it's like, well, it doesn't mean you
Getting a
necessarily getting a job. And I'd done my coaching badge, but when I'd stopped, it was like New Year time, and then obviously the turn of the new year, you've got a lot of like derby games and stuff like that. So I had done some media stuff, obviously when I was playing, and it's a small world, and a few of the guys that I knew in it had just said, oh, do you want to come and do like this game, that game, and then it just snowballed quite quickly.
Right.
By the end of that season, like the Sun had asked us to like do a column. I was doing radio work, I'd done some TV work, and then it snowballed quite quickly.
Did you get a wee buzz feed in the punditry?
So it was like enjoyable, because like you're still involved in the game,
Yeah.
So there was an element of that, aye. And then probably like about 18 months, then it got to a stage where like, well, this could be something,
Yeah. Are you surprised about the amount of scrutiny that pundits come under now? Because it seems to me everything you say in the paper, or it's being spoke about on a fans forum, or
I laugh about it, to be perfectly honest, and I don't like.
but that's a credit to yourself, that
Do you know,
the way you've done it. You know what I mean?
without being dismissive of it, or like like oblivious to what's going on. I keep going back to this, right? When I came back home, it was to play football and then be able to switch off and go away for it. And what I quite enjoy with what I do now is that there's a load of work through in Glasgow. I do travel all over the country, but all at the bases in Glasgow. I can drive back here and I can just switch off. I didn't think about it. I didn't get bogged down in the politics of he said this, he's done that, he's a prick, he's an art.
Yeah.
I can switch off it.
Even on even with Twitter and stuff like that, do you just switch it off when you go home?
Well, it's not that I switch it off. I just laugh at it.
See some of the tweets I see, the replies to your tweets, man. Oh my god. Is punditry a lot like football? So say you're on with Chris Sutton, do you know that you need to be prepared for what he's going to? Is it? Do you need to change how you are for certain pundits that you're going to be on with?
I don't know.
Nah.
I think some folk probably will change, but I don't change. No, because I try to find a balance between being conscious and aware of certain subjects, but not too conscious or aware that you actually then alter what you're going to say or do. Because I want to just try and be normal and natural, and no self-filter or can I say that? So I try and not think about it too much.
Yeah, just take it as it comes.
Aye.
And then does the tension ever continue off here?
Well, do you know, I'll tell you this. So, Big Chris and I got on great, and then about a year ago or whatever, it was embarrassing. So Big Chris, with the whole Craig Levein thing, just try to stir it up. So there was an instant where Levein had, said something publicly about me for about the third or fourth time, and Chris had, said to me privately something, and I was like, oh, right, aye, good, brilliant, Whereas publicly before he'd always been, backing Levein just to try and stir the pot a bit. And then we were doing a game a couple of days later, Hearts game, and then he was on air saying the opposite, trying to get a reaction at me, and I was like, what are you playing at? And I said this on air. I said, you weren't saying this privately. And he obviously was a bit uncomfortable. And then afterwards, it was some text messages going back and forward, and I'm not going to say much more,
right.
but it was just a bit standoffish.
Does he do that just for ratings and stuff like that?
On camera?
See, before it, do you sometimes need to say to yourself, I'm not going to bite them today? Or can you just not help yourself?
No, but to be honest, I wouldn't bite to him. You know what I mean? Like if he's saying
But
something.
other people do, don't they? Do you think he just does it to get people to bite a
A wee bit, but he's not going to say something that he doesn't believe or doesn't think.
Right.
You know, but he might like emphasise it just for to get a reaction. I mean, you'd been at Celtic when Chris was
he was
there.
like that as a player as well. It's just the kind of guy he is.
That's the kind of guy he is.
Makes for great telly, though, doesn't it?
Aye, and look, he's not going to say something that he doesn't believe. At least I didn't think. I think he believes everything he's saying, but he'll emphasise it a bit more just to try and get a wee bit more out of somebody. And the stuff like obviously with the Levine and things like that. That's probably one thing I think that because it was like me, and because it was he was desperately trying to get something that would get a reaction. He probably I don't know what his genuine thoughts are on Levine, but I think it was one that he was definitely trying to overemphasise.
Yeah. See, if you were to bump into Craig Levine, do you think it'd be all right?
That was the bump into him.
Yeah.
Do you know? With most things, I couldn't give a flying right, but with him, I've got no doubt the type of character he is, it would definitely not be all right. No chance. I remember start of this season, possibly start of this season, game at Tynecastle. I've been doing work, and I was walking back up and out, and Nazy was walking through the door. So Nazy'd walked through the door and he was like, "All right, Mikey, I'll see you later." And there was a few folk, I think it was maybe family members or whatever for Nazy, walking through the door as well. So we're walking round this bend. Nazy's walked out, his family members, "Oh, hi." And then he's walked out right behind them, obviously didn't know it was me, and it was and then just walked off. Couldn't bring himself.
Do you worry about bumping into him now? Not at all now?
What would I worry about?
Confrontation now?
I couldn't get, all I've ever done is say, what I believe to be, the truth. Now, truth is, subjective. Everybody's got a version of the truth, but it's my opinion, right? Yeah. So, I'm not going to, I would never say something publicly that I wouldn't say privately. Or sorry, I would never say something to, out in the open that I wouldn't privately say to somebody's face.
Yeah.
Aye. So, it's I've got nothing to be worried about or anything like that.
At the end of the day, that's what you're paid to do, isn't it?
Aye, yeah, I mean, and to be honest, I didn't think about it like that, but folk have said that before, well, that's what you're paid to do. I mean, aye, and that's probably why I'm comfortable doing what I do, because it's a natural thing. Again, it's probably why, some managers found me sort of difficult to deal with.
How do you enjoy it with Big Tomo? You disagree quite a lot in sports, didn't you? Is that the way you see the game differently, or is it?
Because he doesn't know football.
Does Big Tom? It seems to me that you do hundreds of research and Big Tomo just wings it. Is that right?
No, you couldn't be further from the truth, honestly. See, the difference between Tomo and I, right? Tomo does absolute spades loads.
He, right?
Aye, of research, and he has it all written down. It's here and it's there. I just I remember things. Not off the cuff. I just remember things, and I can visualise stuff. So aye.
So do you watch every game for the weekend? Yeah.
Aye.
Full 90 minutes?
No. I mean, you can't see the full 90 minutes of them all. So there'll be you've got editors that are there that edit the games. So we'll know the sort of talking points and the narrative of all the games. So the chances are you'll probably see at least 3 games of the weekend. Somebody on the telly, you'll be at the game and then you'll be at another game because they're not all Saturday at 3 o'clock. And then the other games you'll know the narrative of the game,
right.
And then it'll be edited up so you can ask them, say, look, I want you to look at X, Y, and Z. This is the main story. Find me clips of blah 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 blah.
Do you ever say something right on Sports Scene and straight away you think a certain group of fans are going to slaughter me for it?
There is only one group of fans, and it's a massive stereotype, but there's only one group of fans that have a real issue with me. The rest is clearly you're going to have some fans within any club that are, well, that was right and that was wrong. You're always going to have a divergence of opinions. But there's only one team that en masse have an issue with NNRC.
Rangers.
Aye.
Because they actually used trial by sports in relation to an SFA disciplinary process, is that right?
Possibly. I wouldn't pay too much attention to it. But I mean, to be fair, like the editors and wee Johnny Sunderland as well. I think Jonathan quite likes that phrase as well. So the guys at Sportscene have played on that trial by Sportscene thing a wee bit as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Just on road safety, a lot of travelling with your job.
Aye, well, obviously for most of the TV stuff, it's driving through to Glasgow, or then you've got the live games, driving to games all over the country. So there's a fair bit of driving it, but I quite enjoy it because it's not every day, it's not all the time. So getting a wee journey, I can sit and just gives me a bit of time just to actually think, or listen to a podcast or something like that.
No mind. That's not for you, is it?
I'm not.
Too much nonsense, too much carry on. Always important to leave plenty of time. Take your time getting through it.
Aye. Yeah.
No speeding.
No chance.
Have you ever had any
control?
points?
Stick it into cruise control.
Oh, this thing's got cruise control on it. This thing drives itself, doesn't it?
Doesn't do that yet. I've had points years ago, but I've got a clearing licence now. I've not had any points for a good wee while.
Good man. Also, if people are driving, they can listen to you on the radio.
Exactly.
I love your debates. I do listen to that on the radio. I like you and Tom English together.
You're like, aye. That's
always a big battle as well, isn't it?
I enjoy that. Tom and I agree on a lot of things, but it'd be boring if everybody agrees on everything.
Yeah.
You've got to stand your ground and argue your position. And I know some people are like, it's shouting over folk, and when it gets a bit too shouty, it can be a bit. But you want a lively debate.
Of course you do. It's like Carragher and Keane, innit? You would rather that than watch people agreeing with each other all the time, wouldn't you?
You want a lively debate. And
radio's easier, isn't it?
So I enjoy the radio. I wouldn't say it's easier.
Do you know? I always think being on the radio is quite easy, but there's tellies.
I mean, again, without trying to sort of downplay it, I don't find any of it difficult. It's enjoyable, and it depends obviously who you're on with.
We didn't really do live stuff. Do you not get a bit worried about that when it's live now?
Nah. Just I didn't think about it.
Right. Just easy. Right, dream car share, 4 passengers, long distance to Ross County. Who are you taking? Levine's in the boot. Who's our 4? The Sunderland seat's there, so we're giving him that. Is he getting a place?
Jonathan's not getting a place. Come on.
Great talker today.
He's
Shetland. Is he for the Shetland? He's got a great vocabulary, isn't he?
He's a Shetland.
Clever guy as well, now.
He's not stupid. He's not stupid. There's no doubt about that.
That doesn't get you in the car, though. So who's our 4? Big Tomo, now.
Spend too much time with them. No chance.
I know this is a dream car share. You'd have to get Fergie. It'd be a good chat with you and Fergie. Him in the front seat.
Why don't you pick it? You tell me.
I think I know your 4.
Right, you tell me.
Alex Ferguson. Nicola Sturgeon.
Yeah.
I think. What music are you into? I think you'd be into Wet Wet Wet. Well, we need a musician. Who's your musician?
Chris Boyd, Marty Pello.
Marty Pello, have you been stung by a bee? 2 more, we need Sturgeon and Ferguson. That would be a good combo. Billy Connolly? He gets picked quite a lot.
Kevin Bridges.
Kevin Bridges is good.
Kevin Bridges.
And we need one more. You got a hero?
Not overly, nah.
Right, Hearts, here we are. What a place.
Certainly transformed, isn't it?
Right, I'm going to talk about your first spell. Was it quiet? 4 different managers first season. Levine, Houston, John Robertson, Presley and McGlynn joint. Chaos.
Do you know, obviously, you just reading that out there, I hadn't actually realised that it was as mental as that,
What's going on with the players when this is happening?
So, to be honest, at that stage, it didn't really seem as mental because Levine had been at the club, obviously, for a fair length of time. Had left, wasn't he sacked? He'd left because he obviously was headhunted by Leicester to go there. So it wasn't like a club in crisis that the manager's been sacked. And then Robbo came in, and it seemed as if that would be like a good fit. Done great at Inverness. And the good thing was he wanted to play football, Robbo. So you're thinking like, oh great, that should be good. But then it was on the cusp of Romanov, taking over and everything. So there was a lot of uncertainty. And then obviously Elvis.
The daddy.
Elvis taking over in interim charge till the back end of the season. So it was a bit like.
Was it Donald Park that was with Robbo?
Aye, Park.
Good Park, isn't it?
Very good.
Some handlebar moustache. It was Craig Levine that actually signed you. So see, when you first met, were you quite impressed with Craig Levine back then?
No, like I was
just a love of hearts to get back.
Well, as I said, so basically I'd come back up the road. I was at Rangers doing pre-season. I'd agreed a deal to go there. Couldn't agree the settlement for United. And when that fell through, I remember I'd just bought a place in Edinburgh. I was in the apartment, and I was just like, I was like, psychologically, I was like, I cannot go back down the road. I was like, I just couldn't go. So I was up here for like a couple of days, and I was like, such a bad place. I was like, I cannot like actually envisage myself getting in the car and driving back to Manchester. I was like, I just need to, I need to stay up here. I didn't know what I was going to do. And then Hearts thing managed to sort of come about. Hearts had no money, so message got out that, look, I'll come, I'll take whatever you're going to pay me, or you would pay me as a loan club, I'll just like sacrifice, and I'll just take my wage off United. And I went to meet Levine for the first time, and he just kept going on about like, everybody here does exactly what I tell them to do. Obviously, and there's a few folk that I know, like away from football, that knew him, and that was a sort of conduit, and they've convinced me, that everyone's going to be all right, and this and that. So he'd obviously already had his thoughts that this is a guy who's got like an opinion. That's not the sort of folk I want. And then very quickly from me coming in, he just tried to like, suppress. He's one of those. Suppress and squash and dictatorial. And
did you go against that straight away, or did
it wasn't a case of going against it. It was a case of like, like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? You
think since Ferguson you've just got the wrong managers?
Not all the time. So, Scotland under 21s, Rainer Bonhoff, absolutely brilliant. Moga, good. Yeah. Chaba Laszlo here, very good. So it's not, all the time. Even when Jim Jeffries came in here, it was at the tail end of when I was here, and I was about to leave, and we fell out. Actually, we fell out just before I left. But that was like other things going on behind the scenes.
Right.
But these were decent guys that I got on with, or would have got on with fine.
What stage was it that Romanov's intrusive behaviour was having a detrimental effect on the team, shall we say? Can you remember a certain point you thought this is too much?
Well, when I came back, so I was on loan the first time, went to Hibs. When I came back, it was like a different place completely.
As in down?
No, like in terms of the money that was being spent. You got to remember, obviously, I said to you.
When he first came in,
when I was here, Hearts didn't have any money on loan. Then I went to Hibs, came back, and obviously you heard all the stories when I was away at Hibs for a few years that
4-year deals on it, 5-year deals on it.
Aye, the money that's been spent. So I came back, obviously saw the money that was being spent.
Got the money that was being spent.
Not just on the players, but like all the sort of the auxiliary staff and backroom things that were going on, and you're like, boys, the players that you had, like proper players, like really good players.
Who was top players then?
So that when I first came back, we had a boy, the Chilean striker Maurizio Pinilla, who was absolutely different class. Problem was that his head just wasn't there. So he was part owned by Inter Milan when he was here.
Right.
He was like a Chilean international.
Wow.
Bruno Aguiar, who'd come from Benfica.
Him.
Bruno was like brilliant as well. Ibrahim Tal, French centre half. And then you also had the boys that were here. So like the team when I first came back, Larry Kingston.
Good player.
You had wee Driver coming through. Robbie was here. Christoph first time around. Lee Wallace. Craig Gordon.
Was good,
Craig was in goals when we first came back. Then Karapidis, who was a Greek centre half. So there was there was proper players. Problem was that we didn't. Maurizio was injured all the time, and didn't really have a striker. Velička was the Lithuanian boy that then went to Rangers eventually as well. He was decent. So there was a good squad. The problem was when I first came back, they didn't have a manager.
Yeah, and then Laszlo came in.
Is
he as mad as people? We've had people on, Ryan McGowan guys.
I know Gowser. I mean, look, I know Gowser didn't. Gowser was a young lad at the time, and he did not get on with Chaba. But Chaba was. It's difficult because I never saw that side of him with Gowser, and I know that because I used to speak to Gowser quite a bit, even as he's a youngster, and I know that he was frustrated that. He didn't really think that Chaba had a fucking Scooby what was going on. But see, for the first team group of boys, he was different class.
Was he? In what way?
He would have a sort of subcommittee, a type of 5 or 6 the experienced boys, Hovey's in, talk about what's going on. His training was meticulous. His tactical brain, spot on. We finished third that year without a striker. Christian Daddy was the striker, and with the greatest respect to Christian, he was not a goal scorer.
Yeah,
he wasn't a goal scorer.
He wasn't a worker either.
Not really, no. So Chaba developed a style of play, and he spoke a lot even back then about it's a bit of a wanky term, but a false nine. But Chaba was talking about and thinking about all those things before it actually became commonplace. Our penetration came from the wide areas. Larry on one wing, Driver on the other wing, and Bruno was the link man.
Right, okay.
Everyone was through Bruno. Yeah. That was how you got past the lines.
Was that the best football you played?
Well, it was one of the. I don't know. Was it the best? I'm not sure, but it was certainly one of the. That season was enjoyable.
Yeah.
Look, what it's like. You play with better players. The game's easier.
You were made the club captain by Laszlo, 2009. Proudest moment of your career?
It was certainly one of them. It was, because I think, coming back, like I said to you before, it was feeling like, I had unfinished business. So, getting the captaincy at that point, it definitely was, yeah. But, we were talking before we came on camera how, when you start playing football, the whole thing about, the clubs that you support and things like that, when you're in the inner sanctum, when you're playing football, a lot of that doesn't matter a great deal. But when I got the captaincy, it's moments like that where you sort of take a step back and think to yourself, that's important.
Was your family Hearts fans as well?
Aye, yeah.
They
most of my mates.
Quite happy with it?
Aye.
You never seen one that gets too excited about anything. I mean, these are big things that happen to people, but you just...
I do. But I didn't, football's such a superficial world as well, it's important, and it's great, but, there's a big world out there that, stuff goes on with.
More important.
To a certain extent,
And in football, it could turn so quickly. In one minute you're the captain, the next minute you're out the door.
Well, look, there's a picture over there.
Who's that? Oh, so it's Big Bear.
Literally.
What do you think of the situation at Hearts now? Do you think Stendhal done the right thing, getting rid of Whelan and
well, look, there's two things, right? There's the decision and the process, and most folk just amalgamate the two into one. You split them apart. I don't think you can build a strong case to argue against the decision in itself, because it's not been good enough and things have to change, right? But the process,
a way to do it,
it's a fucking joke. You know what I mean? Look, you play the game. You know what football's like. The worst thing that can happen is being told, right, off you go, right? Off you go. But just take a certain bit of respect,
Did you see being the captain? Did you like that added pressure?
Aye, probably, yeah. Aye.
So would you organise everything?
No, not so much away for the park and stuff like that. I mean, I'm talking about social stuff and things like that. I wouldn't be into all that, but stuff that was needing to get done with the board or speaking to the chairman or speaking to Vlad and stuff like that.
So would you speak to Romanov quite a bit?
Aye, it's fair, but aye. I always got on, I always got on well with him. The thing was, it was seldom, that he was here, but when he was, I'd get on, I would.
Last question, sorry. See, when you were a captain, would you be one for speeches in dressing rooms and?
A wee bit, but not nothing fucking over the top.
Yeah.
Nothing too
inspirational. Al Pacino, the old Al Pacino speeches are that now.
That's a wee bit over the top. Nah, I would. Yeah, I wouldn't be shy from.
The reason I'm
talking about
asking
stuff.
this is to lead on to my next question. I think you should be a manager now.
You think I should be a
I
manager?
think you should go for it. Any plans?
Nah. I mean, there's a lot of folk that are involved in football, and they're non-management. They've got that itch. They want to get involved in coaching and management. Stop playing football and you venture off down another road. It wasn't by design. It's just the way it is. And I've got a good balance. I've got all the time that I can spend with my family. I'm still involved in the game without having to deal with all the shit that's in the midst of it.
The politics,
I can sort of like operate from outside a little bit. And if I was to get involved in like a role like that, it changes the dynamic completely.
But when I hear you talk on the radio, especially about Scotland in particular, you're so passionate about producing better players.
Mm-hmm.
Why not go and do it? Great question, isn't it?
That is a good question. Again, it probably comes back to
Your lifestyle.
not my lifestyle. It comes back to there's a big world out there. Football is a small part of it. I would probably be more inclined to get involved in politics than to get involved in management.
Got the Prime Minister?
Well, First Minister.
First Minister, wow. Imagine it. There'd be any jobs for me going? I'll clean your motor. By the way, it's been a pleasure, mate. I loved it. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Lads, leave hitting top speed to the wingers and hit the brakes on the road. Drive smart.